It's the Full Court Press with Eric Frandsen and Jason Walker.
Welcome back to the to the show that we're doing right now.
Following the local teams, breaking down the biggest games with in-depth analysis and team interviews.
There's going to be much higher expectations, sense of awareness of what we bring to the table.
Join the show by calling into 435-752-1069 or text 435-339-0321. It's the Full Court Press.
Throws, ends it, yes! Caught! Touchdown, they did it!
Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the Full Court Press. 106.9 FM, 1390 AM. The Fan, Jason Walker here with you alongside Eric Frandsen. Welcome to Wednesday.
That's a nice alliteration to it.
Wasn't even trying. Maybe I should take credit. Need to take credit for as many of those little transitions and alliterations as I can. Put it on my resume. Can alliterate.
Yeah, that's right. Front and center, bold.
Just stick that on there. Welcome again to Wednesday. Going to talk Aggies, Jazz, NBA. We've got a wide range of topics. Yesterday we talked about Aggie football, and that was most of the show, obviously a preview Tuesday, getting into it. We're going to do a little bit more previewing, get a little bit more in-depth with San Jose State, but as I said, we'll talk about the Jazz, NBA All-Star. There's rumblings that maybe they'll kind of shift the format a little bit, although not so much shift the format up. It'll be kind of shifting back to the old format, so there's talk that they may do that. MLB playoffs. I know, Eric, you have been following that super closely, and I have not. We'll get into that. Jalen Royals, some news around him. Utah State wide receiver has been an absolute star for the team the last 3 weeks. And I was also looking up bowl projections this week. Kind of the first time I've done some in-depth research regarding, outlets that they start bowl projections like week 1, a lot of times preseason even.
Yes, true.
And
it's a little silly.
And I've been noticing that obviously, when Alice has been putting forth their bowl projections, I've kind of ignored them thinking, okay, Utah State's not on them. And I think I checked a couple in like week 3 or week 4. The Aggies weren't on it, obviously because they weren't doing too well at that point. But last week I kind of saw a couple of them had Utah State in bowl projections. Then after last week I checked 8 different outlets today, see how many of them have the Aggies making a bowl and maybe what bowl games. So we'll maybe get into that if we have time. I won't make it the front and center topic of today. But just starting out with San Jose State. And Eric, I know you wanted to go in depth on this, just more into some of the personnel with San Jose State. We've basically, I think, named 2 players on the Spartans.
Maybe 3.
Maybe 3. I'm trying to figure out if we named a third. Oh, no, yeah, we did name 3 because we named our starting quarterback, Shaven Cordero, their starting running back, Kyrie Robinson, and we mentioned Quali Conley, their number 2 running back. So if you looked at our preview yesterday, we talked about broad strokes things, defensive trends, offensive, but we didn't get as much into personnel. So we'll talk a little bit about, okay, here's some of the players to watch out for, along with a lot of the stuff. These are the guys leading the charge in the kind of stuff that we talked about yesterday with, having a solid offense, solid running game, and then having struggles on defense. Like, who are the guys who are performing well, even if the defense is struggling a bit? So let's get into that. And I guess for you, if we're starting on offense, maybe, does it boil down to those 3 guys we mentioned?
Mostly, yes. Nick Nash is a pretty good wide receiver. He leads the team with 30 receptions. Played a pretty big role last week in their game against New Mexico. They've got a couple other wide receivers who have made some big plays. Dominic Mazzotti, he's a tight end, really. He's 17 catches for nearly 250 yards on the season. Charles Ross is another wide receiver. They will use Isaac Jernigan He's caught a few passes, but he's also been used in more like jet sweeps, kind of involved in the running game a little bit. So they'll try to mix things up. But this is a team that offensively has definitely changed. I mean, Coach kind of alluded to that on Monday, that this San Jose State offense is different. It has evolved this year, and mostly in terms of how often they run the ball, and they have become more dangerous as a team that can beat you in multiple ways, not just in the passing game. But they're forcing defenses to be aware of more facets of the game than just what the quarterback's doing.
Yeah, and I think one of the impressions I got just looking at all these different players, you mentioned, Nick Nash, leading receiver, and they're struggling a little bit because last year they had Cooks, who was 1,000-plus yard receiver. Lockhart was the guy who was supposed to return for the team, but he's been injured all year. He was supposed to be kind of the heir apparent there, where last year he had like 600-700 yards. He's supposed to step into a bigger role and be the guy. Well, he's not been around. And so they've just kind of spread it around to everybody. They're using everybody in every position. You mentioned that they got tight end and then running backs. One thing I just kind of noticed and then dug a little bit deeper into is, you mentioned the running backs. They're both involved in the passing game to a notable degree.
Yes.
They've got two running backs. So both are running backs, Robinson and Conley. Both have more than 160 yards receiving. Now, I was going through the rest of the Mountain West to see what other running backs happen to have 100-plus receiving yards. A few teams do. Fresno State, they've got one, Elijah Gilliam, and then San Diego State, Keenan Christian. Hawaii, depending on, there's one player who's a running back wide receiver, so he may or may not count. So you're about a coin flip of maybe half the teams in the Mountain West having a running back with 100-plus receiving yards. But the Spartans have two. So of the five I have on my list, two of them are on the Spartans. And so and it's not like they're spectacular in the pass game. They're not like Ashton Gianti, who has almost 400 yards receiving, who's the leading receiving running back in the conference. But it goes to show that so many different players are involved. Running backs, tight ends, multiple wide receivers. There's not a dominant player. The Aggies, they have dominant players like Vaughn and Royals. They can get everybody involved, but those are your big-ticket guys. San Jose State doesn't have any big-ticket guys, but everyone can get involved. And so maybe it's not as elite as the Aggies' receiving core, but it does play into a little bit of what Blake Anderson likes to have, where he said, we're at our best when you have to cover every blade of grass.
Yeah.
And the Spartans, maybe they don't have elite guys, but they can get it to everyone, and they generally have, in the absence of having some of those elite players they had last year.
Yeah, I mean, you've got, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 different players who have over a dozen receptions on the season so far. Nick Nash, obviously, is the main target there with 30. But this is a quarterback who, if I'm not mistaken, preseason offensive player of the year coming into the year. Cordero, at least he's the guy that was expected to do a lot this year with more experience. And he is a very good dynamic quarterback, not just in finding different targets around the field, but also running the ball himself. He's known to be a little bit more of a runner, a scrambler, and he can create and not necessarily go for big yards, but enough to keep a drive alive and enough to scramble for first downs.
And I think the Aggies have really struggled with those types of quarterbacks. Mind you, most teams tend to struggle. There's not too many teams that are specifically good at stopping, scramblers. But the Aggies are a team that have consistently struggled to finish getting sacks when there's pressure. This year they're struggling to get that pressure. They're getting better, but under Blake Anderson, and I know it's not, he's not coaching the defense, but the last little bit they'll let quarterbacks escape. And yeah, maybe Cordero, he's not going to be running north-south. Sometimes he will. But a big thing is extending plays. And we kind of saw this with UConn, where the quarterback, I don't think he scrambled a ton for yards. He did a little bit, but he was extending plays and then getting completions. And that's where you can just get into so much trouble as a defense because, once plays break down, if a quarterback has enough space to feel comfortable, he can be directing his wide receivers and he can find an open guy, and you will find an open guy. Just because the defense can't cover all that space. So that's where I worry a little bit with Cordero, is his ability to extend the plays and, find big completions. So that, for me, you got to find a way to contain the quarterback there. Don't let him get away from you when you get pressure.
Yeah, a couple of things. Looking at both of these teams, kind of comparing a couple of key statistical areas. Neither team is particularly great on third down. Aggies, we know, struggled mightily against Fresno State. But on the season, Aggies are about 37.5 on third down conversions. Fresno's not a lot better. They're about 39%. But here's what's interesting. Their opponents, San Jose State's opponents, they convert almost 50% of the time, 47% of the time. Their opponents will convert on third down. So I know it's been a struggle for USU, but it's stopping opponents on third down has also been an issue for San Jose.
Yeah, it just kind of goes into the fact that both these teams share some strengths and weaknesses, and it's just going to make this game really weird, and that we could very well just see a super high-scoring game.
Yeah, and when it comes to fourth down, Aggies have rolled the dice a number of times on fourth downs. They play fourth down football. 17 times they've attempted a fourth down conversion. They've got 11 of them, so it's tracking at about 65%. San Jose, they've tried it 13 times, but only converted 4. So they're at about 30%. So they haven't had near the success on fourth down as Utah State has.
Yeah, and I really like the way Blake Anderson handles fourth downs. He goes for them generally in smart situations. I don't know if I've really disagreed with the fourth down attempt yet. If anything, there's been times where I felt like maybe he should have been more aggressive, but even in those situations, you kind of understand the logic of punting in some cases. So, and in a way, it helps, that Utah State doesn't have the greatest third down, offense. But when you include their fourth down, it helps make up for some of that. Doesn't completely, but it makes, it makes the Aggies' third down offense not look quite as bad if you put it in context a little bit.
Yeah. Yeah, so this is an Aggie team that has struggled on third down, but they can convert on fourth if they need to. San Jose, their offense, if they're not getting it done on first and second, they struggle on third down too, and they really struggle on fourth. So that for Utah State defensively, it's important to have some success on those early downs because they struggle in the later ones.
Yeah, well, and the thing is with the third downs, the struggle on early downs has led into their struggle on third downs. You look at Fresno State, they converted a bunch of third downs, but most of them were 3rd and 5, 3rd and 6 or shorter.
They didn't have long to go. They were very efficient offense on every down, and so when it came to those third downs, it wasn't insurmountable.
Yeah. If you have a 3rd and 6, complete a pass and you have a first down, because on average, you're completing, usually closer to 10 yards per completion. A lot of times you're, averaging about 6-7 yards just per attempt in general. So if it's 3rd and 5, 3rd and 6, you're just averaging a first down most of the time. So they need to be able to force San Jose State into longer downs, and that'll obviously play into them being able to defend the pass better, because one thing with Colorado State, they were able to slow down their passing offense because it was horribly predictable. And I think if the Aggies push teams into 3rd and longer, they're going to do really well on those plays. They'll get off the field, even getting sacks and forcing turnovers, because the Aggies can get much more opportunistic when they're able to force teams into the situations they want. Like with Colorado State, they forced so many turnovers, and that's because they were able to force Colorado State to be one-dimensional. And so, obviously, it's going to be hard to force San Jose State to just be completely one-dimensional, but if you force a team to be one-dimensional on one particular down, obviously that can help. So you got to get them into longer third downs. You don't have to get them into 3rd and 12 all the time, because you're not typically going to do that. But just don't have them consistently setting up for 3rd and 4 and 3rd and 3 because otherwise you're just going to have a repeat where they're going to have 11, 12 first down or third down conversions in a game.
And it's not going to be easy to do, as you pointed out earlier in the week. This is a team that runs the ball very efficiently, very effectively, averaging 5.3 yards per carry.
Yeah,
I mean, the Aggies are at 4.8. They're not that far behind, but still, I mean, that's a very efficient running game that they have. Aggies have run for more yards. They've actually attempted more rushing yards, but the way San Jose State utilizes their running backs and able to get first downs on the ground and get to the end zone using their running backs has proven to be very strong for San Jose in the wins that they've had and in stretches where they've been competitive.
I think the thing for me is not so much that I'd be scared of San Jose State's running game, because they've been effective but not necessarily elite. You're not really scared by either Robinson or Conley. It's more the fact that Utah State's run defense just hasn't been up to the challenge this year.
Yeah.
You're going to make Robinson look right. I'd bet the Robinson or Conley, just whichever ends up being the lead back, most likely Robinson. One or both of these guys are going to top 100 yards rushing.
You're right.
Unless the Aggies just have a spectacular day stopping the run. So whether or not these guys are elite or scary, it's not going to matter because the Aggies are going to make them look good unless they begin to step up. So that's more what I'm worried about, is that you have, a solid rushing team with San Jose State. They are solid. They have a quality run game. And you're going up against an Aggie run defense that's made bad rushing teams look decent, even good or great at times. So it's one of the most important things I'd be looking for in this game, because we know what this offense is. It's going to be good. They're going to run the ball decently well. They're going to pass the ball very well. Defense, they guard the pass well enough, but going through these next 5 games, a lot of whether or not they're going to win, they're going to put up points, but a lot of whether or not they're going to win is going to come down to stopping the run.
Yeah.
Like, they stopped the run against Colorado State. They won that game handily. And basically in every other game, they've either lost or it's been fairly close because they couldn't stop the run. I guess kind of excluding the Idaho State game where, of course, they stopped. And and of course, they didn't even run the ball.
They didn't even try.
So, out of all the games where they haven't stopped the run very well, they're 1-3 or so? So I'm trying to do the math on exactly how many games that would be, because they've stopped the run in 2 games. And that's 2 of their wins.
Yeah.
So,
it's
and the one win they have where they didn't stop the run, they gave up a game, a potentially game-tying drive, only get away with it because they blocked the PAT. And again, it was the worst team, one of the worst teams in the country. So it's just the Aggies need to stop the run, or at least slow it down. You don't have to be, hold them to 70, 80 yards. Just don't let them run all over you.
Yeah, I agreed. Yeah, this is definitely a team that likes to run, especially on first down. But when you have this type of success that you have, averaging 5 yards a clip, why not? So, yeah, that is certainly one of the big keys of the game for Utah State against San Jose, just offensively trying to, for San Jose State's offense, stop the run, slow them down, force them into uncomfortable situations where they have to throw the ball because they've been so efficient in their wins. I have to keep saying that. They haven't won very many games. One was against a lower division team, and one was against New Mexico. And the game against New Mexico, they had about 150 yards in the first half. Then they had 200 yards plus in the third quarter alone. So they had a huge second half. They scored 38 second half points against New Mexico. But they had the second worst rush defense going into that game in America, really, in all of college football. So this isn't necessarily a team that's been really solid in a lot of areas like Fresno State has, but there are some things that you should certainly be paying attention to and can cause some concern. If Utah State can take care of those things, then they'll be competitive and they'll have every opportunity to win the game.
Yeah, I think if, obviously the best result, and I think at least the best realistic result, is for the Aggies to have a game similar to Colorado State, where, going into that game, there were things that were certainly cause for concern.
Right, good point.
But the Aggies just stepped up and played better. And I think it would be the biggest boost of confidence to not just get a win, because with UConn, it was get a win at all costs, doesn't matter, just get a win, please. And they did. But the Colorado State game provided just a much bigger boost because of how they won. And they played a much more complete game. And I think you can get that with San Jose State, where if they have a dominant game, I'm not sure they will. I'm not 100% sold the Aggies are going to win this game. But if they're able to have a game like they did against Colorado State, it'd be so much more helpful for this team than to have another, repeat of the UConn game where, okay, maybe they get the win, but man, was it ugly as heck.
Yeah.
And you'd much rather, for an Aggie team that's really struggled to make plays late in games, like you look at what they've done late in games. They were tied against James Madison, give up a game-winning touchdown. Have a lead over UConn, give up what really should have been a game-tying drive. But you get a PAT block, you get away with it. Fresno State, give up a game-winning touchdown. Throw an interception on what would have been your own game-winning drive. And you go back to James Madison, Utah State could have had a game-tying drive. They threw a pick. So it's just the Aggies have really struggled late in games. You don't want to get involved in another late game situation where the Aggies have fairly consistently proved they're not really very good at winning those games.
Yeah, right. This is another one of those where, kind of like Colorado State, probably the team which makes the fewest mistakes is the one that's going to win. These are two teams that have I think Utah State has probably made more mistakes than San Jose State has, but San Jose State just has been overwhelmed with the type of teams that they're playing. I think Utah State has made some mistakes that have cost them some games. They've been competitive, more competitive in their losses than San Jose State has been in their losses. But Utah State has to learn from what cost them last Friday, because that was a very winnable game, if not for self-inflicted problems. And so this is a decent San Jose State team. They're only 2-5, or whatever it is.
They're 2-5.
2-5. So, I mean, looking at that, you're not really a good team if you're 2-5. But for Utah State and where they're at, I mean, there's not much that separates these two teams.
Yeah, and the fact that it's going to be on the road is going to make it even tougher for the Aggies, where
yes,
some statistics and small sample size alert may indicate the Aggies play a lot worse on the road. But, again, this will be, that'll add more to this data. If the Aggies struggle again and have more self-inflicted wounds, then that'll just be the trend at that point. And it'll be another thing that they have to continue to improve on.
Yeah, I know we need to take a timeout, but I've got some things on the San Jose State defense. We'll get into that, some of their players. An interesting stat that I think bodes well for Utah State based on their defense. We'll share that coming up.
All right, we'll take a break, and we'll have all that here on the Full Court Press.
Hello, I'm Garrett Tanner, Operations Manager at Cache Valley Bank. With 20 years of banking experience, I strive to use my knowledge to help small businesses overcome any challenges they may face, no matter how complex. My customers are important to me, and I take a genuine interest in understanding their lives. Come visit me at our mall branch or give me a call. I'd love to get to know you and show you what opening an account at Cache Valley Bank can do for you. Cache Valley Bank, member FDIC.
Elements has delicious lunch specials. Soup, salad, and bread for just $10 is tasty and quick. Elements lunch menu is full of scrumptious items. Wood-fired pizzas are an excellent choice that include barbecued chicken and the bee's knees. The fresh battered halibut fish and chips with seasoned fries is always a hit. And don't forget the fan favorite, Chipotle fried chicken sandwich. Thursdays, enjoy Elements house-made smoked brisket, casual or professional. Open Monday through Thursday, 11:30 to 8 p.m. and Friday and Saturday, 11:30 to 9. Visit theelementsrestaurant.com for reservations.
Agis Home Health and Hospice is your premier healthcare provider. When your loved one needs care, at home, wherever home is, allow Agis Home Health and Hospice to help. I'm Josh Fenton, part of the Agis team, where we customize healthcare for optimal results. Our award-winning staff brings character, experience, and trust. Contact us today and see why we were voted Best of Northern Utah. Call 435-723-9000 or visit our website at myagis.com.
When it comes to home care, it's important to know you have a choice. If you or a loved one is in need of hospice or home health services, remember that Primrose Home Care and Hospice believes in treating the patient as well as the problem. We work directly with you and your doctor to create a health plan that's catered to your needs. Our team is devoted to providing options in the freedom and safety of your own home. Visit us at primrosecare.com or call to schedule a free consultation. Primrose Home Care and Hospice, your local hospice and home health provider since 2006.
This is The Odd Couple with Chris Broussard and Rob Parker.
I think the Bills, Rob, have been the best team in the AFC so far.
We've seen this movie before. They get off to good starts. So it's hard to feel good about them and act like, oh, yeah, look at what they're doing. This is what they've been doing. They can't finish it.
With Chris Broussard and Rob Parker.
Weeknights from 6 to 8 on Sports Talk Radio, 106.9 FM, 1390 AM. The Fan.
This is Nate Lamson with Valley Office Systems, your home team when local matters. Valley Office Systems is your local provider for all things office, copiers, printers, furniture, and document management. Proudly serving Cache Valley since 2007. Visit valleyofficesystems.com.
Dear John, uncontrolled high blood pressure is serious, and I can quit whenever I want. But when I quit, you quit. Sincerely, your heart.
To get your high blood pressure to a healthy range, visit heart.org/blood pressure. A message from the American Heart Association and the Ad Council.
Northern Utah and Southern Idaho's home for sports. It's the Full Court Press on Sports Talk Radio, 106.9 FM, 1390 AM. The Fan.
Welcome back to the Full Court Press. Jason Walker, Eric Frandsen. If you want to join the show, feel free to text in. 435-339-0321 is the number you can text in. We've had a few texts roll in after that first segment. Talking about San Jose State, Utah State, that matchup coming up on Saturday at San Jose State. I was going to say in San Jose. Is the stadium actually in San Jose?
I believe so.
I actually haven't looked that up because I usually put it in my
I'm pretty
preview.
sure it is.
Haven't put in my preview because sometimes I have to look up like exactly where the stadium is. Since I include that info in my preview, it's like, oh, where? It's like talk about UConn being in East Hartford.
Right.
That's where their stadium is.
Yeah, it's true.
So, so a few of the texts coming in 9 through 5, he's asking, what is USU's stop percentage on second down? Which. Or I guess, is there a metric that you have as far as second down performance?
I don't have a metric for second down stop rates. I have a overall stop rate per team. Utah State's stop rate is 57.9%, which puts them at 88th nationally.
Yeah, that's pretty bad.
San Jose State's at 49.2% at 122nd.
Yeah, that's
across all of college football.
Not very good.
Not very good.
So. Yeah, and it'd be tricky to have like stop percentage because usually you're not stopping anybody on second down. It's more of a stuff percentage, maybe, or like a no gain or incomplete on a pass or no gain or a stuff on a run. It'd be hard to define what a stopping percentage on second down is. Usually they kind of lump first and second down. It's like early downs,
right?
And then you have your third down where there is a stop because you're forcing them into fourth down where. Typically, they punt or kick a field goal or something. Their drive doesn't continue after fourth down. So, yeah, unfortunately, I don't have that in front of me, and I don't have any of the websites I usually go to.
Yeah, The Athletic has a metric that they put together. Utah State gives up 2.57 points per drive on average, whereas San Jose is giving up 3.43 points per drive.
Those are high numbers.
The top team in America, just for context, that's Penn State. They have a stop rate of 88.1%, 0.69 points per drive.
Yeah, you get under that 1 point per drive. That's pretty insane.
It's pretty tough.
That is insane. 9 through 5, you saying I was just asking because our chances go way up if we can stop them on second down in this week's game. Yeah, that's where you talk about first and second down because, again, it's early downs. So your keys are kind of a hybrid of what you do on first and second down and then how that sets up into third down. So I know there's at least one site that I've referenced where they have an early down success, and maybe I can look that up during one of the breaks. And I think they would have that as a first and second down. Because, yeah, how you perform on first and second down does directly go into how well you do on third down.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, absolutely.
Because if you can force a team into consistently doing 3rd and 8, you're going to, it almost doesn't matter how good your defense is. 3rd and 8 is better than 3rd and 1. It's like facing a batter in baseball, up in the count or down in the count. Like, it doesn't necessarily matter how good the pitchers and batters are. That count makes a big deal.
Right, yeah, your situation.
So that's kind of how it is with football and down and distance and all that. A few more texts coming in. The site's glitching again. 7241 feels like it doesn't matter how good San Jose State is or how bad USU is. We just always have their number. And yeah, when was the last time San Jose State actually beat the Aggies? I haven't looked that up. Because they didn't play in 2020. That was the year San Jose State was good.
Good question. Yeah, the Aggies, even when San Jose has been good, the Aggies have played pretty well against them.
Yeah, well, they didn't play the 2020 when that was like San Jose State's best year. I can't remember if they played in 2021. The Aggies beat them last year in 2022.
Okay, here we go. So this overall series is 20, 20, and 1. But currently, San Jose State has lost the last 10. So you are correct. 2741. The Aggies have definitely had San Jose State's number.
When was the last San Jose State win? Has it been since they joined the Mountain West?
It had to have been in the WAC. Because the Aggies beat them in 22, 21, in 18, and 17. Beat them in 14. They only list the last 5 meetings here that I'm looking at.
Well, 13, the Aggies were in the conference. I don't think San Jose State came until later.
Yeah, so it had been in the WAC or before that.
I think there was one point in the series where San Jose State had the Aggies number.
Yeah,
They must have, because it's a 10-game win streak and they're tied now.
There was a moment in time where San Jose was kind of good for a minute, and then their coach quickly left. But I think even in that year, Utah State may have beat them. I don't have my full book here, but suffice to say, the last 10 meetings have gone Utah State's way.
8968 texting says, I can remember in the late 70s, the Aggies and San Jose State played to something like a 48-48 tie. I'm not sure that's a score exactly, but at the time, it was the highest scoring game in history that didn't have a winner. No overtime back then.
Well, their overall series, 2020 and 1. So there was one tie. That must have been it.
Yeah, must have been it. Ties, back it's interesting when you have these long series. There's always a tie in there somewhere. I think the Aggies have a tie against most of the teams in the Mountain West at some point. Not all of them, but a lot of the teams like regionally. I think they have a tie against Colorado State. They even have one against Fresno State, I think. So, and some obviously multiple ties. Because back then they're just like, all right, nobody won, so we're just going to stop playing and we tied. People today throw fits if there's a tie. Because heaven forbid there's not a winner and a loser.
That's right. 2603, I still think the future looks bright for the Aggies as long as we can get players to buy in and stay.
Yeah, and that is that's the thing we've touched on a little bit as we've gone throughout the season is that this team feels like a rebuilding team with a lot of potential. I mean, how many players are they going to lose from this year's team going into next year, just based off graduation? I think a couple of offensive linemen, a couple of defensive lineman, maybe a linebacker. Like 90% of the players have eligibility beyond this season.
Right.
But
yeah,
how many are going to stick
around? It's not a guarantee that they're all back.
Because that's the thing. If 10 years ago, you'd be saying, oh, this team's going to win the Mountain West next year because of all the guys they're bringing back and how decently they're playing this year. even, without a ton of experience. But we don't know if any of those guys are going to stick around. Like, the Aggies would be playing so much better if they'd had, like, all their defensive linemen from last year stick around.
Oh, don't do that to me, Jason.
So it's the thing. If you can get them to buy in, stick around, develop them. Blake Anderson has purposefully had it as part of his recruiting strategy to get guys who have multiple years of eligibility, like when he brings in transfers, JUCO guys, Division I transfers, for the express purpose of let's get him into the program for multiple years. Problem is, his recruiting strategy, which is, I'm sure it's worked in the past, he's been a decently successful coach. The landscape's changing around him where it's a lot harder for him to maintain that strategy because they may not stick around that long. So it's not necessarily his fault. There's a lot of coaches that haven't been able to handle this change into NIL.
Yeah.
Cough, cough, Dabo Sweeney. More text coming in. I believe, I think 5879, right?
Yes.
Is there an NCAF stat like high school RPI that ranks the Aggies based off their opponent? I mean, there's a bunch of advanced stats. There's nothing like RPI that I'm aware of.
I mean, not universally known. I mean, ESPN has their SP+. They also have their FPI, which use different ways of looking at it. Just looking at SP+, Utah State is at 85. San Jose State, 86.
Yeah, they're really close.
They're very close.
Yeah, there's nothing specifically with RPI. All these advanced stats. There's one like K-Ford ratings is one that I've at least looked at. I think Sports Reference has their own simple rating system or something like that. There's a bunch of simple rating system might actually be the closest to an RPI where, as the name suggests, it is simple.
Yeah.
It's in the name. It just uses a couple of different metrics, including strength of schedule. But, yeah, there's nothing like RPI or NET like with college basketball. There's just a bunch of media sites have their own.
FPI, by the way, for ESPN has Utah State at 86, so very similar, and San Jose State at 90. So as we've said, these two teams are very close to each other.
What's the difference in those two things? Because I think, was it Bill Connolly who does the SP+? Like, that's his thing. Is the ESPN like a group project, and SP+ is this guy's own thing? Like, what's the story behind all this? Like, what is it?
That's a good question.
Maybe I should go look at it, like what the difference is. You have ESPN that has two different, catch-all metrics for teams that they apply in different ways and they promote in different ways. So you got SP+, but the FPI, like when you go look at the, the game cast, they have their prediction, who's more likely to win. But that's not SP+, that's FPI. That's weird.
SP+ looks at, they give you a rating, but it gives a score on your offense, a score on your defense, and a score on your special teams. And FPI is a projected win-loss, win-out percentage, 6 wins percentage. A lot of different projections that they're trying to put together.
That's just more of a projection because SP+ doesn't seem to be predictive as much. I don't know if they try to use it as a prediction metric.
It's a measurement of team strength meant to be the best predictor of a team's performance going forward for the rest of the season. So it represents how many points above or below average a team is.
So it's just a power ranking.
Based on 20,000 simulations of the rest of the season using FPI. You're also using results to date and the remaining schedule.
Yeah. So FPI seems to be... So SP+ is more of a power ranking. FPI is more of a predictor.
Predictor of what might still come.
So maybe that's kind of like RPI. A little bit. Of course, RPI isn't meant to be predictive. That's just more of advanced standings is basically what it is.
Yeah, but I mean, looking at the scores that they give USU and San Jose State for SP+, Utah State has the better offense, barely, at 67th overall. San Jose State's at 70th. But defensively, neither team's great. But San Jose State has a slight edge, ranked 101st versus Utah State at 105th. special teams is the big difference here, though. Utah State is ranked 72nd, and San Jose 121, which it's a very slim margin when they're looking at special teams and
special teams. It's such a smaller sample size and only a handful of factors. How well are you at flipping the field? Do you not make stupid mistakes on special teams? Do you make or miss field goals? That type of stuff.
But quickly, just a few things more about San Jose State, personnel-wise, defensively. They got a couple of good linebackers. Brian Parham, he's our leading tackler. He's a linebacker, 60 tackles on the year. He's got a half sack, one forced fumble, a couple of fumble recoveries on the season so far. Jordan Pollard is the other linebacker who's had a decent season with 34 tackles. He has a forced fumble and fumble recovery, and he also has an interception. Then they got a couple of pretty good defensive linemen. Trey Smith, 3 sacks on the year, a forced fumble, 32 tackles overall. And then Noah Lavulo, the other defensive lineman, with 28 tackles and 1.5 sacks on the year. So they've got some defensive players that can be physical, and that's been a bit of a hallmark for San Jose, that they have a couple of guys on defense, especially up front, that can be kind of physical guys that are tough. Generally, their defense overall is not particularly awesome, but that's kind of how this season seems to be playing out as well. That this couple of decent guys up front, but just an average defense overall.
Now, I do need to take another break real quick, but just the last note from me is that, you talk about defenses being bad, but the thing is we focus on these defensive players because the thing is, in shootout games, there is still typically a role that defense plays. They may give a bunch of points, but an interception here and a forced fumble there often ends up swinging things because it takes away an opportunity from the other offense and then gives the other offense a chance to keep going. They can maybe get a multiple possession lead. So keeping an eye on these players, I think Javion Cole is another guy in San Jose State. He doesn't have a ton of tackles, but a lot of pass deflections, has a pick. He's a guy who's been pretty efficient in pass coverage. So handful of these guys, one of these guys is very likely to make a play. If the Aggies lose, one of these guys may be responsible for it, be it an interception or multiple interceptions or a forced fumble or something like that. So we do need to take another break on the other side. Note on one of the Aggie stars getting some recognition on a national stage. We'll have that coming up next here on the Full Court Press.
You can feel the holidays are near. Get your appliances repaired and ready. This is Jay with Daryl's Appliance. Save $15 off your appliance repair for a limited time. Find the coupon on our website. Did you know Daryl's service is risk-free? If you decide to buy new, instead, you can apply your service call to your purchase. Only at Daryl's. See store for details. Get the best in appliance repair at Daryl's. Your first and last call. Find us west on Airport Road. Open until 6 p.m. on weekdays, 5 on Saturday.
We invite you to join us at S.E. Needham Jewelers for an exclusive estate and antique jewelry event this Friday and Saturday, October 20th and 21st. The beauty of antique jewelry shines again at this extraordinary jewelry event. Select from a collection of jewelry from the Georgian, Victorian, Edwardian, and Art Deco periods. Many contemporary treasures, exotic gems, and one-of-a-kind pieces are also available. You will marvel at the craftsmanship and pride of eras gone past. Again, join us all day Friday and Saturday, October 20th and 21st from 10 to 7 p.m. S.E. Needham Jewelers, middle of the block at the sign of the clock.
Do you have a backup generator, or have you explored the options of adding one to your home? Generac backup generators will keep your home or business safe and cool during the summer months if the power goes out. Do you already have a system? Golden Spike Electric can service it for you. If you don't have one, Golden Spike Electric can find the right model for your needs. Find them online at gsegenerators.com or call 435-257-3016. Golden Spike Electric and Generac, power you can count on.
Check this out. This is The Herd.
You're excited. I'm excited.
With Colin Cowherd.
So Aaron Rodgers, quote, our offense needs to grow up and not point fingers. So there's a lot of finger pointing at Zach Wilson from the offense, fighting on the sidelines, and Aaron says, guys, grow up. Aaron is trying to be a leader here. That I appreciate.
This is The Herd. Weekdays from 10 to 1 on Sports Talk Radio, 106.9 FM, 1390 AM. The Fan.
As the leaves fall, so do the prices at Murdoch GMC. Harvest the best deals during our fall sales event. The summer heat is cooling off, and there's no better time to get out and drive. Right now, receive 3.9% for 5 years plus $750 bonus cash on a new 2023 Sierra. When you walk through our doors, you feel like family. At Murdoch Chevrolet GMC Cadillac in Logan or online at murdochchevroletlogan.com. GMC, we are professional grade.
Call 866-628-3065 or see dealer for complete details. Offer expires 10/31/23.
Clean it up and get it out this fall.
Don't wait another winter. Let DD Auto and Salvage pay you for that junk vehicle. DD Auto and Salvage makes it so easy and fast to get rid of your junker vehicles by paying you the most money possible. Pickup is available. If you have metal, DD Auto and Salvage in Logan want to pay you today. Search DD Auto and Salvage today or call 787-1204.
That's 787-1204.
See store for details.
The Full Court Press. Connect with us on Facebook, Twitter, and online at 1069thefan.com.
Jason Walker, Eric Frandsen here on the Full Court Press. My brother texted in to correct me. I said San Jose State joined the Mountain West later than the Aggies, but my brother doing the research and corrected me where they joined at the same time. Where he said that San Jose State and Utah State both had top 25 seasons in 2012, their last year in the WAC. Which I don't know if the decision had already been made by that point to bring him in, but so I guess they came in at the same time.
Yeah,
so
they did.
Needed to figure out when the last time they lost to, which it would have been 2013 or I guess 2012, 2011, some conference game, but.
Been a long time.
It's been a while.
Either way you look at it, it's been a long time.
Not since I was in high school or a similar year, or just out of high school, maybe first year of college. But one thing I wanted to note, because Utah State wide receiver Jalen Royals getting some recognition this week, added to the Fred Biletnikoff watch list, because I guess they update that through the year now, I guess. It used to be like they have a preseason watch list, then they begin gathering actual candidates throughout the year, and they're voting on it and all that.
And then they name finalists.
Yeah, they name finalists. But I guess they're maintaining a consistent watch list, adding players, because they added some on October 5th, adding Jalen Royals to the list. Deservedly so. He's tied for the lead in receiving touchdowns on the season. I think he's in the top 20 in receiving yards. He's at, I think, 647 receiving yards, 9 touchdowns. There's 8 or 9 touchdowns.
He has 9. I think Vaughn has 8.
Yeah, he has 8.
So the only wide receiver duo both have with 8 or more touchdowns.
There's only a handful of players in the NCAA that have 8 touchdowns, and the Aggies have 2.
Yeah.
It's kind of like 2021 almost all over again, except I guess with just 2. But, yeah, you look at the last 3 weeks, Royals has 450 yards, 7 touchdowns. And, if you just included only his last 3 weeks, he's, still a top 10 receiver in the Mountain West. I think he'd be 10th in receiving yards.
In the Mountain West?
Yeah, in the Mountain West. Not in the nation, but just in the Mountain West. So, 3 weeks, and he'd be a top 10 receiver. That's it. It's funny because, he was a decent wide receiver the first 4-ish weeks. About 20 catches for about 200 yards. And then he's just completely gone.
Totally exploded.
He's completely out of his mind with multiple touchdowns in 3 straight games, 100-plus yards in 3 straight games. Absolutely insane.
It's not just his speed. It's also the type of catches that he's making. So he's been a huge asset for Utah State on offense over these last couple of weeks.
Yeah, I compared him to Devin Tompkins in my Monday cooldown, and I wasn't the first to make that comparison. There were other people before me. But, yeah, the high-pointing catches, that was something Tompkins is doing. Take a short pass and take it the distance. He had a remarkably similar catch and run on, just that little bubble screen, take it 70-plus yards. They've both done that. Obviously, they're both getting long touchdowns. He'll catch, medium, distance passes, just everything. He's not just a speedster. So he really is an all-around player. So much deserved honors there from Jalen Royals.
Yeah, 8968 texting in. During the John Ralston era, they had a tie with Wyoming at 6-6. Made Wyoming and the Aggies co-champions of the old Skyline Conference. Also was last year Merlin Olsen and company played. And then 5879 texting in, Ike Larson got the midseason All-American nod too. Yeah, at safety position.
Yeah, so several Aggies getting some national, recognition there with just how well they're playing. So good that they've got some stars, and both of those players have more eligibility.
Yes,
to keep
they
going.
do.
Of course, Jalen Royals keeps playing like this. He's going to leave not to another college, but to go play on Sundays.
Potentially.
That's the risk you're running there. And I think at this point he'd be, because you have to be 3 years out of high school. I think he's on his third year out of high school. So, but
it's a great run. I mean, he's having a great year for Utah State. Obviously, we all hope he sticks around.
Yeah, it'd be nice. We got to take another break here. Talk a little bit about bowl projections. A little pet project I had this afternoon. We'll talk about that next here on the Full Court Press.
Beezer Lock and Key specializes in securing your world with their expertise in locks, keys, and hardware. Every aspect of their services is meticulously tailored to ensure your safety. They offer a vast selection of hardware brands and access control options, along with custom master key systems. With Beezer Lock and Key, you have control of your facility's access 24/7. For 28 years, Beezer has provided top-notch security solutions that stand unmatched in the industry. Visit 4th North, 1st West, and Logan, or go to beezerlock.com to discover more.
Adams Wealth Advisors is proud to announce that they've been named as one of the best financial advisory firms in the country by USA Today. Start maximizing your wealth potential with a team of experienced advisors who specialize in working with high net worth individuals. Let Adams Wealth Advisors help you achieve your financial goals with a personalized approach to investment management and planning. For more information on how Adams Wealth Advisors can help you achieve your financial goals, go to adamswealthadvisors.com. That's adamswealthadvisors.com.
Are you interested in a new career opportunity? Are you wanting great pay, benefits, and the potential for career growth? Spartronics is looking for talented individuals to join their team in a production position to manufacture circuit boards and build life-saving innovations for a better future. See what Spartronics is all about and what they might have to offer you. Located here in beautiful Cache Valley at 750 East, 1600 North in North Logan, Spartronics is a fresh start for your new career. To find out more, go to spartronics.com.
Are you tired of the same old boring eyewear? Crystal Vision in Logan is your go-to destination for unique and stylish eyewear. Their one-of-a-kind collection features exclusive styles and designs that will help you stand out from the crowd. Say goodbye to ordinary and hello to extraordinary. They push the boundaries with fresh styles and vibrant colors that reflect your personality. At Crystal Vision, it's not just about eyewear, it's about making a statement. Discover your unique style today. Crystal Vision. See the world through a different lens online at crystalvision.com.
JM Mechanical has moved to a new location, 222 West 2850 North, Suite A, North Logan, just north of Airport Road. Be sure to stop in for all questions and to purchase filters. Fall temperatures are here and your heating system needs to be dusted off. JM Mechanical knows how to fix, tune up, or replace every type of heating brand. Fast 24-hour heating service is available in Box Elder, Cache, and Franklin counties with a 100% satisfaction guarantee and upfront pricing. Call JM Mechanical at 563-6267. That's 563-6267.
Experience Barrel and Stave on Federal Avenue, where good food, good drinks, and good people meet, using local ingredients to create the most delicious taste possible. Barrel and Stave is a cozy cocktail bar offering a large selection of wines, whiskeys, and cocktails, along with an amazing selection of bar bites and weekly chef specials guaranteed to tantalize your taste buds. With live music every Wednesday night and Thirsty Thursdays that offer $2 off drafts, come and see what you've been missing. Barrel and Stave, Tuesday through Saturday evenings on Federal Avenue.
Talking the sports you care about. The Full Court Press on Sports Talk Radio, 106.9 FM, 1390 AM. The Fan.
Your local Napa Auto Parts has what you need to have your car ready for the upcoming winter. You can get more cranking power with the Napa Legend or AAA battery. You clean your fuel injectors, carburetors, help your entire fuel system run smoother, last long with BG and Seafoam motor treatment. Napa Auto Parts ready to help you at the five locally owned Preston to Providence locations. So I finally did the research. Now my brother texted me as well, but I did the research on my own as well, simultaneously. Last time San Jose State beat Utah State, 2008.
Oh, okay.
So that was the last time that the Spartans got a win over the Aggies. A couple of close calls since then. 2010, Utah State wins 38-34. Last year, 35-31. Those are the two closest games since the Spartans got their most recent victory over the Aggies. Life was different in 2008.
Yeah, Aggies have dominated a lot of these games, certainly over the last decade.
Yeah.
Outside of last year's.
Final note to end the first hour. My little project I was doing this afternoon, looking at which national outlets who are doing bowl projections. How many have the Aggies in a bowl? I looked at 8, and 5 of them have the Aggies going to a bowl game. You want to guess which ones?
Which sites or which bowls?
Which sites? Which bowls, excuse me.
Mexico Bowl.
Nope.
Probably on a lot of them. No.
It's not on any of them.
The Barstool Sports Arizona Bowl.
No, surprisingly not.
No.
There's the Frisco Bowl, one the Aggies went to a few years ago. That was one. There were 2 that had the Aggies going to the Potato Bowl, and 2 had the Aggies going to the Hawaii Bowl.
Oh.
Which would be interesting. Would you send me to Hawaii?
Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas. Yeah. All right, that's going to do it for us here in the first hour. We'll get into more Jazz NBA talk here in the second hour. Don't go away. We'll have that coming up next on the Full Court Press.
I'm Dan Patrick, and this is Above the Noise. In the NFL, quarterbacks win championships, which makes that position the most valuable in the draft. And when you look around the league, the 2024 draft won't disappoint. It'll be a race for the worst record in the league. USC's Caleb Williams has been the heavy favorite for some time now to be the number 1 overall pick. He's described as having Patrick Mahomes-like qualities. North Carolina's Drake May has been compared to Ben Roethlisberger, and he'll have the scouts drooling as well. He fits the mold of an ideal NFL starter, and he's played a major role in the Tar Heels' rise to a top 10 ranking. And then it's Washington's Michael Penix Jr., the Heisman favorite. He's had his moments so far. He's lit up college football, and the Huskies have a chance for the college football playoff. That could make all 3 quarterbacks early round selections. 6 teams currently holding 1-5 records, all in need of a quarterback. The race for the worst record in the NFL is on. I'm Dan Patrick, and this is Above the Noise.